So welcome back to you, Dr. James Tour. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Yes. When you do your videos or your podcast, I noticed something that is a little bit unusual for other people or other scientists, and that is that you give glory to Jesus Christ in the beginning, or maybe you pray, and then you say that the presentation that you're going to have is not going to have anything to do with God, or it's going to be purely scientific. And I was wondering, why do you approach that in this way?
Right. I love Jesus more than anything else in the world. I love Jesus so much. My faith is based on his resurrection from the dead, his physical resurrection from the dead. So if that sounds like nonsense to you, I can understand that. Most of us have never seen a physical resurrection, certainly not a man being in a grave for 3 days and then coming up from the dead. But that's what our faith is based upon, because there is so much historical evidence that points to that fact. There is so much written evidence that points to that fact, and not just evidence in the Bible. There's extra biblical evidence where people were making reference to these people that had seen Jesus risen from the dead, and they were dying for their testimony. Now, what's interesting about that is I would be willing to die for what I believe. Many people would die for what they believe. There's nothing unique about that. But those people in the first century that were dying for the testimony that Jesus had risen from the dead, they were not dying for what they believed to be true. They were dying for what they knew to be true. You see the difference? Nobody dies for what they know to be a lie. They were dying for what they knew to be true. They were being fed to lions. Some of the disciples were boiled in oil. Others were flayed alive, pinned down. Their skin was peeled off them. Some were crucified upside down. Peter was crucified upside down. These accounts are from extra biblical writings. So it's not just the writers of the Bible that were recording this. So it's very interesting to see this, that these people were dying for something that they knew to be true. If it were not true, when they're boiling the oil, the disciple would have said, "Hey, it's okay. Let me show you where we hid the body." These people were dying for what they knew to be true. I mean, you can look at the writings of Tacitus from the same century. So much account. If you're going to believe in Caesar Augustus, if you're going to believe in the people of that era, you have to believe in the writings of this time. And you may say, well, the Bible writers, they were influenced. Well, just because a person is zealous about something, we read articles about skiing by people who love skiing. Does that mean skiing is therefore maybe not good and these people think it's good because they just love it and so they're writing that it's good? No, so just because a person is zealous does not make them an inadequate source for information. But there's also so much written around that event and so many different eyewitness accounts. Over 500 people saw him alive at one time. And he wasn't just on a foggy night that they saw him. They saw him, they touched him, they ate with him. And one of his disciples said, "I'm not even going to believe it unless I stick my finger into the holes in your hands and stick my hand into the hole in your side," because a Roman soldier, when Jesus was up on the cross, just to make sure he was utterly dead, stabbed him in his side big enough in which that a man could stick his whole hand. This was not a fake. It was not an imposter. Nobody's walking around with a hole in their side big enough for a man to stick his hand into and pull it out. And so he's risen from the dead. Because he's risen from the dead, that means something. It's based on that resurrection from the dead that my faith is based upon. And I love Jesus so much. I've never known him to be mean or cruel or harsh to me in any way. Jesus is kind and gracious, and the message of the gospel is, come unto me, all ye who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. The message of the gospel is come. The Spirit says, come to him. And that's why I am emphatic. I love Jesus more than anything. That's why I start with that.
That's fantastic. And sometimes I've noticed also, if people want to contact you, even to know more about Christ, they can email you or contact you. And are people actually doing that? Do they contact you? do people,
Well,
become Christians? Or
Chris, every week I see somebody come to faith in Christ. Every week.
wow.
And so they can email me, tour@drjamestour.org. tour@drjamestour.org. If you email me, and this invitation is only for people who do not believe in the physical resurrection of Jesus Christ. So this is not just to have an hour with Jim Tour. This is to people who do not believe in the physical resurrection of Jesus Christ, but they want to hear why I believe it. They want to hear my story. I'll arrange a Zoom call with you one-on-one, just me and you, personally. One-on-one, I'll have a Zoom call with you. And every week, I see somebody go from not believing in the physical resurrection to believing in the physical resurrection after that conversation. Every week.
But then I think you're actually living your dream.
I'm living my dream.
It's true. You're leading people to Christ. It's the best thing that I know too.
Yes.
If you ever feel like coming, I'm sure, because we have this biocosmos, which is like a little bit apologetic, some intelligent design focus, and we invite people sometimes. So if you ever feel you have time for a weekend in Norway, I think I can ask them if we'd like to invite you, but I don't probably don't have time.
If my wife heard you say that,
Aha.
she would insist that we go. So,
yeah, well, this sounds like a good plan. Maybe we can get back to that.
God bless you, my friend.
Thank you so much for your time.
Bye-bye.
God bless you. Bye.